Hello, sir.
Alex, how we doing?
Rocking and rolling, man. It's
Living the
standard.
dream.
20 and a half hours. Not doing bad. Feeling okay. Thank you, Rachel, for asking. Yeah, I'm feeling all right.
So,
We're in deep thought mode now. So Kendall was a
what's your
perfect
secret for getting
conversation.
through, Alex? Are you caffeined up or Red Bull? Or are you just high on chatting to everyone?
Um, I think the first 6 hours, the midnight to 6 a.m. shift, when inevitably you've got about 2 hours of the hardcore staying up with us for a couple of hours, which was wonderful. Thank you to everyone who did. And then you've got that kind of 2 till 6 where pretty much just random anything can happen. That's a challenge. Once you're in flow, the conversations have just been phenomenal. I mean, all I've got to do is speak to people, great people like yourself, and ask questions and listen. So it's not too bad, but trying to have coherent thoughts and come back with useful conversation. I apologize in advance. And I've just seen Rachel's comments. So yeah, I thank you. I'm very well, thank you. I kind of repeat what I was saying to Jack, feeling feeling emotionally slightly drained, but no, I'm happy to be going still, and I'm looking forward to this conversation with you, Jack, because we got some success to share. Last year, you came on, and thank you again for supporting the campaign by coming on again. Last year, we had a bit of a chat about your history with that subject of mental health, and then we did a mental health with a little mental health quiz, which was great. I asked you to come back this year because you have been on a journey that not many, some have, but not many have come through it and thrived like you have. And I think your mindset and the way that you operate um, with your new business has meant that you have thrived. So I don't know. Firstly, can you introduce yourself and your business and tell us a little bit about why the hell you decided to do that during the pandemic, and and how you've and what have you learned about yourself during that process?
Yeah, so for those that don't know, I'm Jack Scarff. I must say, looking at the list of speakers, thinking, I've arranged a mortgage for that person. I've arranged a mortgage for that person. So that was quite nice. So I run a mortgage brokerage. We started last year. So it's almost exactly, well, tomorrow, last year actually. So it's been a year tomorrow. We typically help people that are a little bit left of centre. So they might be self-employed, older, have bad credit, etc. But not typically your run-of-the-mill stuff. So it's quite rewarding to do that. Been doing it for years, and then decided to set this up. Taken another broker to help me out with the overflow because I was very, very busy. Taken on a PA this year as well, which is great. I was at the St Neots Walk and Talk the other day. I go into schools occasionally to talk about finance and mental health. Father of two as well, which is important to me. So yeah, that's a bit about me. Why on earth I set up the brokerage in a pandemic? It's a great question. I thank you for asking it. I think one of the things that you learn when you're involved in business and investing is the best time to act typically is when the rest of the world is scared. So you'll hear that expression in whether it's in the stock market or property investment, things like that. At the moment, weirdly, now we're kind of coming out the other side, wouldn't be the best time to invest because property prices are going through the roof and the stock market's still really good and whatever else. But at the time when it was first happening, everyone was thinking, oh no, this is going to be, a nightmare. And of course it has been. It's been awful for lots and lots of people. But I saw it as an opportunity that it was the right time for me anyway, but it was also a good opportunity to take a leap because the particular industry I'm in has been thriving. The government have been printing money right, left, and centre. They've been offering incentives like waiving stamp duty for people buying houses, saving loads and loads of money. And to be honest, I kind of just got to a point where I'd outgrown where I was, and they did loads and loads of great things, and I learned loads. But I still felt like I had more value to add, more value to offer, and wanted to try and just improve on a couple of weaknesses that I felt that they had. And based on the fact we've got over 100 5-star reviews in our first year on Trustpilot, 5-star rated on Google as well, I think we're doing
Well done,
that.
mate.
Thanks very
Well
much.
done,
No,
man.
I appreciate that. So
You deserve it, man. You worked hard.
yes, I've worked very, very hard, but is it hard work when you love what you do? And I do. People take the mick out of me, my friends, because they know I love talking about mortgages. But seeing someone who says I can't get a mortgage and you helping them buy their first home or whatever is really, really satisfying. So yes, I've worked a lot of hours. You're right, but yeah, it's fun for me.
You've come through, or to allude to conversation, very deep conversation I was just having with Kendra. I'm not sure if you caught any of it.
Mm-hmm.
You now get to transition over the invisible line into no longer requiring hustle because you've built your foundation. Is that how you feel?
Yeah, it's a really interesting point. I'm still working in the business because we've chosen purposely to be relatively small. Growing the business comes with lots of different other things, and just having 100 staff that are all miserable and you're not making any profit doesn't mean you're a better business than a 3-man band where the staff are really happy and you're really profitable, for example. So we've made a decision to stay smaller. So I still graft because I love the job and there's still a lot to do. But I think it's really important, and I've seen some of the talks today. I've not caught all of them, but I think it's important to remember that whatever stage you're at is different for you compared to other people. So at the start, if, for example, you are at a point where you feel like you haven't got much money, you haven't got much support, you don't really know where you are, that's the time to graft. You might not need Netflix, you might need to read books. You might not need to socialize, you might need to sleep more and get your rest and meditation in. Whereas now, as you say, I'm probably at a point where I've done all of that, and now I'm trying to kind of optimize my life and make myself happier. So that might mean delegating some of my administration work, which I'm rubbish at, because you don't have to be perfect at everything. You just got to be really good at one thing, and then you can get other people around you to do the rest. So that's kind of where I am. Yeah, I'm more hustling with the mortgage side of things and growing the business, but yeah, delegating things where I can, getting more rest, taking more care of myself, doing more meditation, spending more time with my children and things like that. So
that sounds like you're in a good place, man. I'm really proud of where you've come, and it's really cool that you sound like you're you're always very aware of yourself and where you are in your mindset, because I know the journey that you've been on, which you kindly shared so much of last year. But it's an interesting time, isn't it? It's an interesting period of time for you to explore that, and that's I don't know if you heard Kendra say, well, her kind of goal for this year was to have a go at sensible and know that she might fail at it. And I've kind of really, I think that's quite an intriguing statement to make.
yeah, I think sensible is underrated, especially in business. I mean, you look at even Richard Branson is quite famous for looking at a worst case scenario before he makes his decision. So he does loads of outlandish stuff, loads of outlandish things when he opens events for different brands, whether it be Virgin Money or Virgin Planes or whatever. I'm going into space now. But he's always looking at what the worst case scenario is and mitigating that first before he moves on. I think it's important in business not to go too gung-ho. A friend of mine took a broker's job somewhere else recently, and he said he went for his first interview. They said, right, within a couple of years, we're going to have 40 advisors. We're going to do this and that. And I said,
wow,
be careful, because to me, and I'm a really positive guy, it just sounds like they don't necessarily know what they're doing, and they're not taking that worst case scenario sensible approach, and they're going to go gung-ho and probably spend money they haven't got and see what happens. And lo and behold, turns out his manager got sacked within a couple of weeks of him starting. So I think that's probably a point to be sensible.
Says a lot. Yeah. Says a lot, man. Life's a funny thing, man. Life's a funny thing. So you said that you went to the walk and talk last week. How are you enjoying those conversations? Because I don't know if you heard Steve and Justin on today.
I heard a bit of Steve, and I've got a feeling, putting 2 and 2 together, which I think is 4, that I was walking with Steve's dad, possibly, because I hadn't met the chap before, but got paired up, and he had his little dog, and she was lovely and really well behaved, and it was great. Went for a really nice, picturesque walk, and he said that his grandson committed suicide at the age of 20. So I caught some of Steve's chat, but I didn't catch all of it, so I can't confirm whether that's him or not. But it kind of brought back, horrible memories for me. But
Steve's brother-in-law.
Steve's brother-in-law. Okay, yeah, which was terrible and awful to hear. But the fact that those guys are out now raising awareness, and there's so many people doing it, and the group is ever growing, and there's such nice guys with great intentions. It's good for me, and I think I need to, as you say, I've come a long way, and I feel I've come a long way, and that's great. But I think the discipline's really important for me to still go to these events and still speak to other people, give back where I can, offer advice where I can, but also to discipline myself, because you can get a bit complacent with your mental health, I think. And overcoming the initial stage and getting to kind of where you want to be is great, but you don't want to fall back into bad habits at all, or you can quickly slide into those kind of realms of mental health where things can go quite dark quite quickly. But the Walk and Talk's amazing. It's doing great things. Every time I meet someone there, they're really nice. It's a really nice community, whether it's because you're lonely, or you're new to the area, or you're working at home all the time, which is really common. You just need to get out. That walk in nature is so good for people. And it's I'm glad that we're at an age now where it's all right for men to share how they're feeling, and there's no real judgment. And if there is, who cares? Because people are going to be judging you for stuff like that. They're not really worth your time anyway. It's my motto.
Amen. Absolutely, man. You say about just picking up on something there about maintaining mindset. What conversations do you have with yourself?
Most recently, around December time, so we'd had our first year in business, and it was great, and everything is rosy, to be fair. But I needed a bit of time off, I think, apart from anything else. But I was getting complacent with my mental health in terms of not taking enough time for myself. My morning routine had gone not completely out the window, but the last few weeks I've got back into getting up at a reasonable time, filling out a gratitude journal, because when you're being grateful for something, you can't be miserable as hard as you try. Going for a walk around the block to get the blood pumping, doing yoga when I get back in again to open up the muscles and the body and everything else, which is good for cognition as well. Meditation, and then looking at my goals to set me going on the day. Now, you can get by without these things, but you might just feel a bit groggy. You might not be as ambitious. It might be easier when I'm working from home to go and do some housework rather than cracking on with calling that next client, or whatever it might be. So I just notice in myself that if I get complacent, I miss out on those things. I have an evening where I just sit and watch Netflix for like 4 hours. It's just not exciting for me. It's just not, I'm not thriving then. So I work much better if I do, say, a 4-week period of working really, really hard, 5, 6, 7 days a week, whatever it has to be, and then having a week off to just relax, turn all my social media notifications off, don't even look at my phone, do loads of walking in nature, time with the kids, all that kind of stuff, and then go back at it again. Whereas if I just plow through, which is really easy to do as a business owner, I just don't feel quite right. I don't feel quite as happy, don't feel quite as fulfilled. So for me, it's important to have a bit of routine and just keep thinking about it. Keep being aware of where you are with your mental health and your life, really.
That's interesting, man. So you're like, I think I relate to that. I think the binge break, binge work. Like, it's like, I like to think of it, I used to work, when I worked 9 to 5, which was never really 9 to 5, because the only way to progress in the pharmaceutical industry was to be the earliest in, last out, whatever. Culture, mimic behavior, you move up ladder. But it was very much a kind of how I would compare it to entrepreneurship was like working like a cow, in the sense of I was grazing. You know what I mean? I was grazing. I think I saw a wonderful tweet the other day. It said the difference between a big corp and a startup is, in a big corp, you're assigned a title, a PAYE system, a desk, this. In a startup, you're assigned a task, and I think that's quite the difference. And as an entrepreneur, working like a lion is a better way than working like a cow. For me, you wait patiently for your target for the opportunity in the market, because the market dictates the opportunity, not the entrepreneur. The market, a good entrepreneur listens to the market, waits patiently, and then when it's the opportunity, goes at it at 100 miles per hour to catch its prey in that way. Pretty vicious way of looking at it, but you know what I mean. You can you rest when you need to rest. You eat when you need to eat.
I was thinking about slightly on a tangent. I was thinking about big business earlier, and I've worked for some really big organisations in the mortgage world and banks and everything, and it doesn't make me sick. But I hate the way that some corporations are run. Now, there's nothing wrong with being employed, and I was employed for years, and I've learned a lot from it. But I think in terms of, I've worked for managers that were so archaic in their way, and they just weren't willing to listen to anything, which I guess is why I had to get out of there. Now, not everyone operates like that, and some people can crack on and be micromanaged and stuff, and that's absolutely fine. But I think having some kind of autonomy and freedom and passion and excitement, and I try and give that to everyone that I work with, no matter what their title is. As you say, it's more about being collaborative, working as a team, taking on ideas, being innovative, rather than, well, this is the process we've had for 40 years, and all right, the market's completely different now, the clientele is completely different now, we're on different platforms, and they wouldn't change it. It just blows my mind. But hey ho, I think the way that we're looking at it is more exciting, and it's good for my mind space to be good, there, man. As you say, hopefully more of a lion than a cow, but I'll let other people be the judge, maybe.
Well, I mean, it's again, this is all just opinions. That's the beauty of conversation. It's everyone has their own frame of reference. Everyone has their own opinions around these things. It's something I've been considering a lot lately, and in the conversation, like Evelyn's just put a great point up. The pandemic is changing the working cultures of many corporations, and that's wonderful. I was saying I can't remember who was on earlier, but I've got a good friend of mine, right? Like super high performer, successful guy, works in PR and comms. About 3 months ago, he was offered a 20 grand pay rise, and decent wedge, decent packet around that. What he's worked his arse off for years. He's 33 now. He's kind of, that's a great situation to be in. And his response to that offer was, "That's wonderful. Can I have that 4-day pro rata, please?" And I thought that was wonderful to see that as a real life example of that just changing mindset that says, yeah, actually I can have both. I'd rather have the £16,000 pay rise and work 4 days a week than the 20 grand pay rise and work 5 days a week. And I think there is comfort in that for some people, depending on the route you take.
Yeah, I think it's so important for people to realize that, and you'll speak to a lot of business owners, I'm sure, because that's the field that you're in. That's not necessarily what is right for everyone. And the goal, in my opinion, and I'll always say this to people, is to be happy rather than to be rich. And if people look for a job, the first thing they look for is money. Now, I go into schools and I will say that, in my opinion, you need 4 things to have a fulfillment from your work, which is money is one of them, but fun is more important, and enjoying the job that you do, enjoying the people that you work with, having autonomy to make your own decisions, whether that is because you can still be managed and make those decisions and have a bit of freedom. And then the contribution to give back to others, whether that's training people, whether that's giving money to charity or whatever it might be. Now, it could be that you really want to have children and you want to have a family, and that's great. It might be that you want to have a massive business or a property portfolio, or it might be that you don't want any of those things. You just want to be fit and healthy and spend 1 day a week on your mental health or whatever the case may be. I think it's really important for people to realize that it's the happiness that we should be looking for rather than the wealth. So yeah, I mean, my PA, for example, I'm sure she won't mind me saying, she only does 4 days a week, and that was part of the agreement to bring her here. Was that the question is, what can we do to bring you here? What can we do to make you happy? What would you want within your role? Well, I'd like to spend more time with my family, please. No drama. I'd like to spend a couple of days at home, a couple of days in the office. Perfect. Works for us. You have to do everything you can to keep them happy. Now, she's an employee. She's PAYE. But she's got loads of autonomy within her job. She is just as valued as the rest of us are, and we're having really good conversations and debates, whether it's about business or about life. So I think the happiness thing now, thankfully, is more accepted again than just striving and working 70 hours a week. I don't think there's much pride in that now. Maybe
No.
at the start you need to do it, but some people, again, will tell you, how hard they're working and stuff, and fair play. But I think there's a lot of credit in slowing down a bit as well, personally, depending on where you are.
I love being managed nowadays. Honestly, I used to, I'd hate it before. I stepped down as CEO of all of any business I was in charge of a long time ago. Christine's a phenomenal manager. I would class myself as a reasonably good leader, but I'm not. I'm not someone that wants to manage. I'm happy to be managed. I'm happy to turn up nowadays, and I know Christine says, "I say, what's going on today?" I'll just do. I'm happy with that. That suits me now because my life circumstances are different. I've got my passion is in the work that we do with young people and shifties, and doing what we're doing right now is what I will spend my time planning. But the rest of my time, I'm quite happy just to turn up as do as I'm told and crack on. It's wonderful.
Especially if someone is better at something than you, right?
Absolutely.
So someone can tell you what to do.
Which 9 times out of 10 is definitely the case. I've made as I was saying to Luke Newman earlier, I've made a career out of being a very curious beginner and celebrating that. I have no issue with that. I'm always happy to ask the stupid questions. Yeah. So look, Jack, absolute pleasure catching up with you again, mate. And you know what? Your journey over this last year is, I wanted to get you back because last year you were kind of in that transition, and it just shows that you put a lot of determination into where you've come from, and you're a massive mental health advocate for the work that you do, and I know that you're baking that into your business as you build it as well, and I don't doubt that will continue to do so. So I thank you for all the support that you've offered. I will ask you the question I've asked everyone else. What are you most excited about for 2022?
Oh, great question. Well, from a business point of view, just briefly, because I know I have a couple of minutes left, we sat down and discussed what our goals are for this year. And because last year was so good, it's very much more of the same and just tweaking a couple of bits. But we'll definitely be contributing to charity. A percentage of our profits will be going to charity for sure. I'm conscious to add more value on social media. I did a bit on over Christmas, 12 days of 12 types of customers that think they can't get a mortgage and do that kind of stuff for free. So I think it's more the contribution and giving back that we'll look forward to.
Nice.
Other than that, building a property investment business as well. So from what we've done here, I'm going to buy some properties. I'm going to do them up. I'm going to get friends and my kids involved to show them how it works and go through the numbers and do all the painting and decorating and make loads of mistakes and learn from them and continue to grow. So getting back into the mental health, making sure that that's really important to me, and growing the business. And
well done you, man.
Yeah,
well done you, man. There's actually a tip on that first. Just a quick one on the offering out content around mortgages and stuff. There's a great guy. I'll find him and I'll send it to him. There's a great guy on TikTok that does it, and it's so like the way that he delivers it. It's like always in like under 30 seconds or a minute.
Yeah, that's what you need. Yeah,
it's so and honestly, it cracks me up, and it's really, really like clever stuff. So I'll send it to you because that tweet. I saw it the other day and I thought of you. I'll ping it over to you, man.
Good. As long as he's helping people and he's giving them good advice, then I'm all for it.
Exactly. All right, dude. Well, look. Thank you again, and thanks for your support. And
no, you're welcome, mate. Thanks for having me on. Great stuff with what you're doing, mate. You should be really proud of yourself and the money you're raising. So keep going strong. Only a few more hours to go.